when people talk about you're prepared for like the God dream or whatever, like Joseph goes through that again and again.
Prepared?
What do you mean?
No one's prepared.
No, but God knows what it takes to prepare you. You don't think you're ready, but God knows you're ready.
Yeah.
Like same thing with Moses. Like there's this capacity that's being opened. Moses is used to the government of Egypt, and then all of a sudden he's like the greatest solopreneur of all time. And then he gets burned out because he's a solopreneur for too long, and Jethro is like, you should learn how to like actually delegate some of this stuff. It's classic.
Here's how it really works. God gives you the dream first, and then he prepares you.
Yeah.
And that's worse. That's harder. That's harder.
Yeah.
Because what happens to someone when they are given a dream and they see it, and then they like David was given that. He was given that, and then it didn't work. Mm-hmm. So like David was said, anointed as king, and then the king tried to kill him. And he's living in a cave. And he's like, yo, this is very different from what God told me was going to happen. Joseph gets the dream, then he's in prison, then he's in another prison. Very different. It's a good thing when your life looks very different from what God promised you. And the more different it looks, it's the greater you're being prepared for it. But that's harder because we have to eventually cross this threshold where we choose to believe what God said more than we believe the circumstances, what the circumstances say about us. It's really easy when people are like, man, God called me to do this. He called me to give $1 million to this organization, and then my business grew by $10 million. It's like, well, good for you. I hate you. It's not how it ever works for me.
Yeah.
And it's not how it worked for Nehemiah, and it's not how it worked for David. It's not how it worked for Moses, or it's not how it worked for Jesus. Mm-hmm. It's not how it ever works. Nehemiah is like, God's like, go build these walls. And then his people are having to build walls with swords and shields on them because people are trying to kill them while they're building the wall. It looks different. It doesn't look the same.
Yep.
And what the process of being prepared for is really not about preparing you necessarily. I don't think that preparation is truly preparing you. I don't think you're getting necessarily like, Joseph wasn't getting smarter in the prison. He wasn't getting educated in the prison. It wasn't like Joseph is not ready. What a lot of people think it looks like is God will tell you to do something, and then the pain is you being developed and grown into that. I don't think that's how it works. What it actually works is like, you're gonna go through a period where all the things that cannot make it into this promise are killed off. So like the Israelites in the desert, they weren't getting more trusting in the desert. It wasn't like, hey, you don't have enough faith, go to the desert and build your faith.
Yep.
Those literally people were being killed off in the desert. Mm-hmm. Joseph, pieces of him that needed to die were dying. David, pieces of him that needed to go away were going away. And so a lot of times the preparation of God looks more like stripping than it does addition. It looks more like removal and subtraction than it does addition. And if you don't understand that is happening, then you'll burn out in a second because you're just like, nothing I'm doing is working. Mm-hmm. Good. That's how you know. That's how you know you're in a great spot. I had a conversation with the client 2 days ago, and he's a believer, and he's like, God told me this was going to happen, and it's a big dream. And he's like, right now it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And I was just like, man, that's awesome. He's like, no, it's not. It's just, dude, it's awesome. Trust me. Because you know that the further away it looks like you're getting, the closer you're getting to the end of your rope, and the sooner you can hang on to God's. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened to me. And so now it's almost like a game. How when something negative happens in your life, you got to get that instinct where it's like, oh, I can't wait to see how God redeems that. Mm-hmm. That's going to be amazing. And everyone can watch this video and they can be like, yeah, that's right. 2 thumbs up, man. That's amazing. And then you lose a family member. Then you have to sit in and wrestle with it. It's easy to like a YouTube video, and then you go bankrupt. And all of a sudden, it goes from theology to obedience in your life. And when we disagree with what God said about us and what God said about our situation, we break the covenant that God has with us. We put a big wedge in the middle of it. And all of a sudden you go from having the richest being in history with more resources than anyone, with more power than anyone. You go from having access to that person as an advocate to being at a standoff with that person. So I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to lose access to that. And it has nothing to do with my situation. It has everything to do with what I believe, with my heart.
Yeah.